Okay, we're going to talk about the Maharishi effect. Do you know what that is? Yes, people, they were meditating and they actually changed the crime rate in a specific area. This is just one of many, many experiments that have been done. But I'm going to talk to you today about something much, much bigger, how we can actually change the planet right now. This is our test. We get to do it again. War comes back around, illness comes back around, financial, collapses come back around. Why? We never resolved them the first time. We're going to master it this time. I'm going to talk to you about what you can do today, and it works. And if you join me, you can see an unbelievable, mind-blowing change on this planet in every area. But you have to do it with me. I'm going to show you right now what that is. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. Are you afraid? Don't be. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You are one amazing energy field just expressing itself in a human this time. And then whatever else. Moon, the sun, wind, plants, another planet, another being on another planet. You know, our galactic neighbors, they're just waiting up for us to get our act together. You want to do that with me? Because we go through another crisis and most of us say, oh gosh, we haven't learned a damn thing. Well, we really haven't. There's a percentage that hasn't. Why? They are in the ego, entrenched in fear. They don't see beyond the physical body and their lives right here. And so the ego's never satisfied, right? No matter how much you feed it, it's always looking for something else to control and manipulate because it wants that world to please me. It will tell people how to act, how to dress, how to be, what skin color is acceptable, how much money you have to make, your education. It goes on, right? And then those who are even super afraid, generally running countries and big companies. Why? And so the more they're around that power, the more it feeds their ego. And they went, wait a minute, that's easy. I just make a decision, and everybody has to go along with me, and that's ending. But how do we do it? And you say, okay, Landria, great. So all this stuff's going on. How do we stop it? We can't go out there and use violence. No, we're not going to do that because that's what we've done for centuries. And it's never really worked out very well. Maybe in temporary situations. We're in a new world where it's scary to go into that space because we can do a lot of damage. We're done with the old way and the low frequency solutions to what doesn't work for us. And of course, everybody has a different idea of what that should be. So what are we going to do? We're going to use the Maharishi effect. That is 1%. These studies have proven that it is actually 1% is the most effective. Only 1% of the entire population, that would be what, 750 million right now, only 1% have to participate in this in order for it to be super effective. When we focus on peace and light and love and compassion. We don't have to go into details, and then I hope this side wins, or no, that's separation. We want to avoid that. Love is love, and unconditional love is what we all have. That's what we're supposed to get back to. We're supposed to get back to that which we are, our root, and discovering that here as individuals. Now, some people, they just can't even relate to that. They think love applies to people who do things that are right or good. And so the one created everyone, including that very person that is doing nasty stuff. They just haven't discovered that space yet. How do we change that without infringing on free will? Well, you can do it from your living room. And so 1% of the population of a specific city, and there are many studies, and you can look this up yourself. Maybe I might have them down here. I actually have a blog on landriaonkka.com about this. Proved that as soon as they were meditating, crime rates, illnesses, violence, you name it, all dropped. Negative stuff dropped, right? Even the police force couldn't believe it, but had to. And they realized it wasn't a coincidence. They did this for 3 years. This is just one of many experiments, by the way. This particular one, as soon as they stopped, everything went back up. Now, I'm talking about a significant drop. I think it was definitely over 20%. It might have been even more. Yes, Yes, that's the quantum field, because we're everything. We're not just bodies. We are the field. We are the field of intelligence. So what most people think is there's the quantum field and then there's me. No, the quantum field is you. The quantum field created you, and you are the quantum field. There's no separation. So that's this, and God's here, and you're that. No, it's one thing. There's one mind. Just one mind. One energy. What does that mean? Everything's connected. That means not just physical actions must take place, but if it's connected, that my thoughts, my mind changes that just as much as if I physically did something. And you might say, no, and I'm saying, yeah. What? Experiments over and over again. I'm thinking, do people actually know what's been done in labs with people that don't even believe in God, proving that a thought can change the result of something? The experimenters realized they couldn't do a clean experiment because the beliefs and the thoughts of the, experimentors, the scientists, affected the outcome. Yes, this is true, and this has happened over and over again. The other thing, too, is if you take a photon and you split it and you blast it out, I think it was like 7 miles or something apart, whatever you do to the one, the other one is affected not afterwards, but as if it was never separated, as if it was never separated. Okay? So a lot of people, we're still thinking time and space. Okay, I do something and this one feels it, and then no, immediate. This is you and I. It's immediate. Now we get to play out because you're thinking, well, wait a second, I'm me and you're you. And yes, the one at the same time, this is how vast and unlimited it is, at the same time is experiencing every possible adventure, journey, experience of itself. Past, present, future, and all probabilities are all happening. All right, so when I was in my mega cray-cray awakened state, like, you can't even like function sometimes. Like you're actually back here, up here, like watching yourself talk. I was out running and I stopped and got my download was everything is one thing happening. Not at the same time. Everything is one thing happening. Does this make sense? And the second thing I was told is time doesn't exist. In other words, this is going on here and this is going on because no, it's one thing happening. I know, you're thinking, what? Okay, don't go there. We might blow a fuse in our brains. That's the physical part of us. The mind, the conscious mind, the collective, is part of the existence in one that exists in the multiverses here, and it keeps going and going and going and going, right? Okay, so we are in our holographic play here on the planet, in our holographic universe, all right? But we have a game here we're playing. It is organic. In other words, the game changes through our thoughts. So when you do the Maharishi effect and you're meditating, your crime rate in that city, even if the rest of the planet isn't doing this, the crime rate and the focus changes. So the city becomes a completely different place. It becomes safe and healthy and whatever through the focus of the mind, right? The love and that high frequency takes us to places unimaginable without, arguing and debating and using weapons or whatever cray-cray stuff we do as humans, right? We have that kind of power. So we could do that with the planet. There is no such thing as time. We're one thing happening. Therefore, my thoughts, along with yours, are a choice as seeming individuals to create and shift into a different reality. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna say this again. So the individualism that we can't get past in our head is the one allowing us to appear as something separate, to know what it's like to be Landria in this situation, and Bob in this situation, and somebody over here getting ill, and somebody else having abuse, and somebody else being the teacher. It's doing everything at one instant time. I'll say time, but there's no such thing. It's just one experience happening. But in order for us to experience it, we have to appear as individuals. So yes, you get to choose your path. But because we're one energy field, if I go into the high frequency of sending light and love, even to the biggest jackasses out there who are doing really cray-cray stuff, because unconditional love is unconditional, we actually send more to that, right? Why? Because that will feel the love and stop going into fear and believing that power and violence is going to change something. We want them to go into the space of unconditional love. We want them to know that that exists and that's what they are. So if we want this side to win, we're in separation again. We're here to realize we're not separate, but that my experience is a beautiful expression, and that through me going into this space of unconditional love and sending it to everyone, yes, even the murderer. Well, what about... You're still thinking separate. You're still thinking human. You're still thinking physical. You're not going into that space of which everything is. And that's what all of us are. And when we go into that space, those things that you think are evil, they dissolve. They can't function in that high frequency, right? And you choose that reality. So you get to be the individual, and through our individual collective, we, through our holographic little game here we're playing, get to affect things. And bing, 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 we win! They finally got it. You know, they're making all these missiles and this stuff, and all they had to do is every day go into a space of love, which for some people is very difficult, because you think there's enemies. There aren't. How can there be? That's you. That's a facet of you. That is a facet of you, not you the person. You the energy field, and you're a facet of the energy field, and they are, and they are, and they are. So nobody can be wrong, because the one's experiencing being that. And here's the test. It's not that. It's how you react to that. This is all for you. You're tested. How am I going to react? Am I going to find enemies and wish bad on somebody? Somebody said, I wish anybody who, you know, harmed an ant, kicked a dog or whatever, and, you know, or hurt a child, I wish they'd feel that. I said, well, you know, first of all, try not to go into that space of hate and wanting them to be in pain too. When does it end? Go into the space of sending them love, to know that anger, whatever they're feeling, can dissipate. And they will never do that again. And if it makes you feel any better, if you really want to know, when we go to the other side, because we're one, we don't get to experience the things that we did to others. We get to experience being the other. Yeah. Have you listened to the near-death experiences? You get to be the person that you spoke to and said nasty stuff. You get to know how they felt. If you harmed something, you get to feel the pain and be that which you harmed. That's the only way you can truly know how it felt. Because we're one, we just shift into that energy field to know it. And that's how we learn. Because I can't possibly know that from my perspective. You go into that perspective. So don't worry, justice is done if that's what you need. But we want to go to a higher space. Will you join me in a new Maharishi effect? Will you join me? Because if you do this every day and you go into the space, this is so important. You cannot say just for them or just for them, and I hope they get their, tails out of here, or they stop doing it. Stop all of that. Stop the separation. Stop the right and wrong. The one is all of these things. This is the toughest thing that I have to teach for my students. Come down, free, manifest anything. It's tough, but when you let it go, the healing begins, because that super hurt, angry, egotistical, low frequency now has nothing but love being sent. But anger and separation and hate fuels it. These are frequencies. Does this make sense? So let's talk quantum physics. When we go in and we send light and love, they feel it. They have to, because we're connected. And the more of us that do that, the more somebody is more likely to wake up that morning and say, I don't want to harm anybody anymore. There has to be another way. Wow, how did I get that idea? And by the way, it might even feed their ego. Aren't I the great person who resolved this in a peaceful way? I'm fine with that, right? If it takes us into a higher place, and then eventually they won't need the accolades to resolve things in peace, right? I told people, if somebody donates money to a great cause to get credit and be a great guy, I'm fine with that, right? Keep it going. You know, and at some point you realize, wow, it just feels good to give money and I don't need the accolades anymore. We should not judge that if we want to stay in this high frequency ourselves. So if you join me, you can change the planet starting today. We have to do it every single day. And if you do it several times a day, it's even more powerful, because we have so much proof of what meditation can do for you personally too. So as you're doing it, you're going into this space and you're connecting to this absolute ultimate beautiful place. And so you're going to see things in your life change. The right people are going to call, opportunities are going to show up, checks will show up. I'm not kidding about this. You guys in my Miracle Circle, come on over to my Miracle Circle. It's only $29.95 for an entire month. And every month I have a live session, I give you a recorded session, and I give you a training and show you how to go into that space of miracles. What is miracles? There's nothing else. There's nothing. No blah, 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 ah. Shut your pie hole. Yeah, I said it again. Ooh. I'm gonna go meditate. I think I'm gonna go meditate. Yeah, I can change the planet right now. Yeah, me and you. You gonna join me? Okay, you guys have seen this? You talk about reaching audiences global. This is a free video series. It's training online. I'm talking about whole training. From start to finish, what do you want to accomplish in your life? What can we do? What's the lifestyle you want to live? Get all the skills, all the training, all the tools, everything. Create an online business. I only promote spiritually conscious businesses. There's nothing I promote that isn't considering the planet, people, things, animals, right? This is what you can do. No excuses. You have everything you need. Manifest anything, right? I supply the tools for you to manifest anything. But if they're sitting in the toolbox not being used, nothing's going to happen. Description, sign up. This is the business side of things. They're free. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. And if you don't like it, you know what I always say, shut your pie hole. Shout out to my boy Elijah, my cutie little, my super fan. How old's Elijah? Is he like 5? He's so cute. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Get everybody involved in this. Let's see what happens. It works. Namaste.